It is my pleasure as the Minister responsible to report to this House that the Bougainville Executive Council has approved for the establishment of the Autonomous Bougainville Government Audit Committee recently, and I will do everything possible to support the work of this committee. Rollover funds. Mr. Speaker, as you and all members of this House know, the ABG has a long-standing legacy of huge rollover funds in the last so many years because of a number of issues, primarily due to capacity issues and late remittance of funds, mainly restoration and development grant and other capital investments from Waigani. In summary, according to the 2023 ABG budget, the following development funds are based on actual cash receipt. 1. 2023 RDG, 28.5 million. 2. 2022 RDG, 15.3 million. 3. 2021 RDG, 641,000. 4. 2023 PM's commitment, 92.3 million. 5. 2020 PM's commitment, 2.7 million. 6. 2022 PIP, 118.2 million. And 7. 2023 RDG miscellaneous, 15 million, totaling 272.7 million. Mr. Speaker, the ABG needs to develop a policy to deal with unused or carried forward funds for development funds. This is to address funding appropriations for projects and or programs that are no longer priorities or relevant. This is a policy initiative that I want to undertake this year. By law, any or all recurrent funds that are not used by the 31st of December become part of the ABG's consolidated revenue in the new fiscal year. Transfer of 2023 RDG to undesignated trust account. Mr. Speaker, in December of 2023, the National Department of Finance transferred the balance of the 2023 RDG, 71.750 million, to an undesignated account. These funds were yet again transferred to another unknown account recently. To date, these funds are yet to be transferred to the designated and correct ABG grant account. It must be noted that these kinds of mistakes or confusions were never experienced before, and the onus is on the National Department of Finance and the national government to explain themselves. The ABG has only two accounts, namely the operating account, 718, and the grant account, 290, so it is hard to contemplate the confusion. SRC determinations. Mr. Speaker, approved SRC determinations for elected and appointed leaders in the ABG based on the SRC's third report of August 2023 were not factored in the 2024 national budget. Although the ABG requested for inclusion in the 2024 national budget, the ABG's request was not considered and factored into the 2024 national budget. Pursuant to the President writing to the Prime Minister early this year on the underpayment of SRC-approved salaries, the Office of the Chief Secretary, the Department of Personnel Management and Administrative Services, and my department are pursuing the matter with the Office of the Chief Secretary to the National Government, National Department of Personnel Management, and National Department of Finance. Misappropriation of 2 million. Mr. Speaker, in January of this year, during the close of accounts period, certain officers from the Department of Treasury and Finance and the Department of Independence Mission Implementation colluded to unlawfully use balances of 11 Restoration and Development Grant 2021 and 2022 projects to process debt servicing claims totaling approximately 2.05 million. Pursuant to my directions, my acting secretary took full responsibility of the matter and managed to cancel processed checks worth approximately 1.2 million, from the 2.05 million, with the funds reinstated back to earmarked projects. However, checks worth approximately 840,000 out of the 2.05 million were disbursed to service providers against the directive to withhold and cancel all the check payments. Further, the department has requested for an audit investigation on the matter, with ABG officers involved in unlawful debts payment served so-called notices and referred to the disciplinary committee for further disciplinary proceedings and possible termination. It is frustrating to note that this straightforward exercise is taking too long, and I ask the Public Service Minister and the Acting Chief Secretary to put closer to it. The law has been broken, and there is nothing complicated about that. It is important to note that apart from the ABG officers implicated, officers of the Provincial Finance Office were also heavily involved in their unilateral decision to process the payments. To this effect, they have been referred to their employer, the National Department of Finance. However, the inaction by the National Department of Finance to serve so-called notices in par with the ABG investigations to the officers of the Provincial Finance Office has resulted in my ministry requesting an external audit investigation into the matter through the Office of the Auditor General. The completion of the audit investigation should determine the disciplinary actions of these officers. Having highlighted one of the most protected issues facing the ABG, there needs to be a long-term solution to manage the ABG's debts. During the course of this year, I intend to introduce a major policy initiative for the ABG to develop a long-term public debt management strategy to mitigate the huge outstanding debts that the ABG has with service providers and contractors. Based on the public debt management strategy policy framework, legislation will be developed and passed by this Honorable House to provide protection and relief to both the ABG, service providers, and contractors. New trust account established by the Bougainville Regional Member. Mr. Speaker, the Office of the Regional Member established a new account in the fourth quarter of 2023 called the Bougainville Infrastructure Projects Account, on advice of the State Solicitor and in collaboration with the National Department of Finance. The intention of this account is to hold and manage national government funding to the ABG under Section 50 of the Organic Law on Peace Building and Bougainville Referendum 2002, and funding appropriated to the ABG under the Organic Law on Provincial Governments and Local Level Governments 1995. However, there is serious disagreement between ABG and the regional member on this arrangement, as it is deemed to apply two organic laws in the autonomous region of Bougainville. In practical terms, this means that PM's commitment and national PIP will now be remitted to this new account and not the ABG's official 290 grant account. In 2023, the first payment of 38 million was paid into this account from the 100 million in PM's commitment without the knowledge of the ABG, and thereby leaving the ABG to receive only 50 million. Not much is known about the operational aspects of this account, as the ABG is yet to be formally advised on the deeds, signatories, amounts transferred, amounts expended, and most importantly, which appropriation act to adhere to. In February 2024, the regional member wrote to my ministry and requested that all funds under the PM's commitment and national PIP totaling 98 million be transferred to this new account. These funds include the Bougainville Cocoa Program, 4 million, Multi-Purpose Sports Stadium, 3 million, Bougainville Hospital, 70 million, Bougainville Provincial Roads, 7 million, Sierra Koropovi, 7 million, Atoll Ship, 7 million. In response, the regional member was advised that a formal letter would be made to him after consulting and getting directions from the BEC. The BEC has directed that I, as minister responsible, inform the regional member that any discussion on funding will be escalated to and discussed at the JSB meeting. Tax legislation framework and support for the ABG. Mr. Speaker, the Internal Revenue Commission, on behalf of the ABG, has requested technical assistance from the World Bank in their ongoing efforts to support the autonomous Bougainville government in establishing a tax legislative framework. The autonomous Bougainville government is currently in the process of adopting its own tax legislation to align with evolving economic landscapes and its fiscal self-reliance through domestic revenue generation. Recognizing the World Bank's expertise in providing legal support and technical assistance, we have, through IRC, requested assistance in assigning a qualified legal drafter to collaborate with our local authorities of the IRC and the Bougainville Tax Office. Specific areas of support we are seeking include drafting and reviewing tax legislation tailored to the unique needs of the autonomous region of Bougainville, providing guidance on international best practices for tax legislation and regulatory frameworks, assisting in the establishment of an effective and transparent tax administration system. In recognizing that tax legislation is a highly technical and specialized area, the involvement of a legal drafter with the World Bank's experience will significantly contribute to the successful development and implementation of appropriate tax legislation in Bougainville. Moreover, we are committed to ensuring a collaborative and inclusive approach, fostering knowledge transfer and capacity building within our local government. We anticipate that the support provided by the World Bank will not only enhance Bougainville's fiscal governance, but also contribute to the region's economic development, particularly huge challenges that we face in our efforts to generate revenue for the ABG. Other matters, Mr. Speaker, other policy matters and major program activities to be undertaken by the department include the formal approval of its corporate plan 2023 to 2027 and the capacity building of Treasury Division. Review of the ABG finance and procurement legislation to allow for the establishment of community governments, public finance management and procurement system aligned to the ABG Public Finance Management Manual procedures. C, the continuation of the cost of service study in Bougainville with National Economic and Fiscal Commission to determine the full cost of goods and services delivery in Bougainville. For 2024, it includes pricing survey for baskets of goods that will commence in Buka on the 25th March and 27th March in Arawa. The review of the 2016 PNG Customs and ABG MOU to allow for remittance of customs, duties, levies, and other fees to ABG. E, the procurement of new accounting system, free balance for Bougainville. And F, strengthening of accountability and transparency through the public finance management training for ABG department and district finance offices in consultation with the National Department of Finance. Conclusion, Mr. Speaker, with these remarks, I now commend this ministerial statement to this Honorable House. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I further move that the House take notes of this statement and debate it at a later time.